Let's go. Okay, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Soccer Performance Podcast. Today, we've got a special guest. We have Luka Hoti from Croatia, who's currently working with Dinamo Zagreb in the youth academy. So he's going to bring lots of interesting insights. As some of you may know, Dinamo Zagreb is a very reputable youth academy in Europe and in the world. And I think there is a lot we can learn from them and that we could bring home to Canada. So, Luka, thank you for coming. Do you mind just kind of little 5-minute introduction, and then we got some questions for you.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be guest here. Yeah, so as you said, I'm from Croatia. I was born in Zadar. Currently, I'm working in Zagreb, like you said, Dynamo Academy. Where I started as a professional basketball player, actually semi-professional basketball player, and yeah, I had a lot of injuries, a lot of things was going around in my career, basketball career, and I decided to quit and start with kinesiology university in Zagreb, and actually that's how everything started. Big tribute is going to my father, because actually I was the one who was trying to become basketball coach, but he said, "Hey, why not to be S&C coach?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" And that's how that's how I started. I started as a volunteer in a tennis club in my home, my back home, Zadar. I was there for 6 years, and actually over there happened to me some really great big things. I was starting to work with one female tennis player, and pretty soon she became a WTA player. Now she is a top 50. So we worked like 6 years, and it was like pretty big thing for me. And then I opened my own gym, my own firm, and also I was working with professional athletes, but also with recreational people, regular guys, and that gave me such a big tools, great tools, which I can use it in a soccer or football, whatever you want to call it, or basketball, so on. And over there, from there, I got call from football club Zadar, which were now at moment in the second division. I stayed there for 4 years. I was head of performance over there, and it was really big experience for me. From there, I went to China, obviously, with you, to work with Chinese Olympic Comets. It was really great experience from every area, because of COVID, because of everything. And on my way back to Croatia, I got called from Dynamo Academy, and here I am. So
Perfect.
it's a short.
That's a good journey, different journey, that's for sure. So we're definitely going to want to dive in with your experience at Dinamo. I think people will really be interested in that. So we're going to have to ask probably one big one. Obviously, Dinamo has a reputable system. What is it that you think makes the system work so well? There's some things I saw when I visited, when I saw you guys training, that I have some questions on. But to summarize, why do you think the system works so well, and what makes the Dynamo Academy successful?
Obviously, the key word is a system. It's a system. So it's a high performance system, right? Every little detail, it's we are measuring, tracking, we are discussing. You know how works a high performance system, right? So it's from the top to the bottom, right? And from the smaller stage, we already know what we want to achieve and so on, to do under 10, under 11, under 12, under 13, and so on, so on. So the key word is a system. You have to have a system.
A system which we are currently lacking in Canada and slowly improving. But one thing I noticed, there's very good connection between the technical and the physical staff, and kind of all the periodization, all the planning. It was very good teamwork around there. Can you kind of touch on, why it works so well, where in maybe other clubs, other places, maybe that connection isn't as good? Why does it work in Dinamo?
Yeah. Okay. First, Croatia have a big football, soccer culture. So where Dinamo in Croatian, where Dinamo make difference. Dinamo is making difference in Croatia again with system. Other clubs doesn't have that kind of system like Dinamo have. From that position, obviously you have a lot of players from Croatia who want to come to Dinamo Zagreb rather than, I don't know, somewhere else. Okay, so that's the first thing. You have the biggest pool in Croatia. The other thing is that before 2, 3, 4 years, we created a system. Not me, but my colleagues before me. We created a system where we are actually starting to measure, to bringing kids from youth age, and not just from Croatia. Okay, also from Canada, from Australia, and so on. So obviously, the third thing is a budget. We have a nice budget on Croatian level. So that's how we make a difference in Croatia. Also, Dinamo is one of the clubs who have the most S&C coaches in Croatia. So we have like only in academy we have 10 to 14 coaches, S&C coaches, which is, I think, really big thing. Every youth generation have S&C coach. It's not like one coach is on 2, 3 generation. No, he's on one. So I think it's a big difference. In other clubs, it's not like that. So Dinamo is have a highest budget, but also he's investing in a brain.
Yeah, for sure.
For you, Luka, you mentioned budget being the reason why some teams don't have a coach, an S&C coach. But beyond the budget, I mean, the head coach and the system has to believe in the value of having an S&C coach with every team, right? So what do you find? What do you find that the teams that have the budget but maybe don't give so much attention to the S&C coaches? What do you find the differences between you guys? I'm assuming the fact that every team has an S&C coach plays a big impact. If it didn't, they wouldn't have it, right? So what things are being done differently that gives you guys the possibilities to have coaches at every age group?
Yeah, we already, like I said before, 3, 4 years, my colleagues before me, head of performance and so on, they already noticed that if we want to be, let's say, on the same level as top academies in Europe, in the world, we need to invest in those kind of things, such as SNC and so on. So we don't want to just be first in Croatia. We want to be first also top academy in Europe, in the world, and so on. Because Dynamo as a club lives from youth academy, right?
Right.
So if you want a high elite professional football player, you have to invest in him. To invest in him, you have to bring top SNC coaches, at least on a national level, and so on, so on.
Yeah, we agree. We agree with that a lot. You have to invest. You have to invest. In Canada, you have to invest time, money, but it seems like it's the same thing. It's a general thing.
Yeah.
Can you go a little bit more in detail? And so you mentioned, so you have the staff there, you're measuring things. Can you go into, a little bit of what let's say two questions. One, what matters to the Dynamo, what you guys are measuring, are there certain physical KPIs or technical KPIs you guys are measuring and looking at? And then two, so there's obviously a coach for each age group. How does that work in the umbrella? Like there's obviously a head of performance, and so that everyone's on the same page, so that it works together. I guess you could touch on that one later, but first of all, I guess what is it that you guys find most important that you are measuring for a Dynamo player?
Okay, definitely it's a technical skill. It's a technical skill from early age. Of course, you are developing that into the tactical skills, but through that way you are also developing physical skill, right? But first and main thing, it's a technical skill.
Right.
So of course that's not my part. I'm measuring something else. But to bring kid from another city, another country, and so on, he has to be on another level through the part of a technical skill. So technical skill for us is the most important. From that, we are going through other things.
Right. And when you guys are looking at, we agree. I think that the technique on the ball is the number one thing that makes, that's the baseline. But I think what Mario and I are curious to know is what physical qualities are you guys measuring, right? Or are you guys maybe trying to improve? Because I think that's what it comes down to, right? You have a good technical soccer player, and now how can we improve him on all physical aspects, right? So what type of measurements are you guys focusing on that really impact the physical development?
Of course, what is let's say key thing to develop in last 2 years in Dynamo Academy, key physical component is aerobic capacity. That's something what we are working on it, like, of course, every day we are measuring it. What we are doing a deep test for us. We found that is easiest to compare, and also to make programs for every kid of aerobic program for aerobic capacity development. And of course, yeah, speed, explosiveness, and so on. But let's say the key thing in the last 2 years, it's aerobic capacity.
Mm-hmm.
which we found that we need to improve.
Mhm.
And did you find that you needed to improve in general, or did you need to improve in the specific age group? What did you find? I know obviously the goal is to prepare them for a first team aerobic intensity.
Yeah.
But where did you see the biggest need for improvement? What age group?
Of course, you have to follow sensible phases, and for us, we are developing that, of course, from different methods, but from early age. But let's say from 13, it's like trigger, where we are starting to working on that, like
Right.
focus is on that. Yeah.
So obviously in the system, you guys have like a sort of like a physical development curriculum, I guess you could say. So for example, at 13, at 15, at 17, they have certain requirements, right? In order to meet the requirements to play the system. And I know, and it's good you touched on that, because the players, it's interesting you touched on aerobic capacity, because when I was there, we talked a lot about that, and they have to.
The thing is, sorry to interrupt you, but the thing is that we know how first team is gonna play, and what physical requirements do we need to achieve with our young players. How we know that? We have also GPS system, okay, and we know what are the physical requirements for the first team. We know style of play, playing style of first team. So definitely, what is new, and that's new in our academy in last 2 years, that from 12 years old generation, we every generation have a GPS system. Okay, from 12, under 12, under 13, under 14, under 15, and so on. So it's pretty easy to track those requirements, because now we know also what are the requirements for under 12 game. So it's easy, and we can easily track on a daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, individually also, which is that is another level in the past 2 years. And I think individualization in a Dynamo is playing a key part to our success. Definitely.
So obviously, like the club's playing style, there's a certain physical requirement to play that playing style, right? The players need to be fit enough. So I guess for a little take home for the play, for the young players at home that might be listening to this, what can you maybe give a good target for them? Like you mentioned beep test, and I think this will be eye opening to a lot of them, because I don't think they would hit the requirements. Many of them who think they are technically good. What is a good target for, let's say, a 15 to 17-year-old to hit in the beep test? Would you say at home to kind of play at a higher level?
For a 15 years old,
yeah, 15, 17, or let's say in that
again
range.
You know that it depends on position. It's not the same if you are, I don't know, wingback or a center defender. It's not the same. But let's say as a 15 years old,
for a midfielder.
Yeah, okay. You have to achieve, let's say, 12 and a half to 13 and a half, which is pretty high for a
15-year-old. Yeah. And of course, that standard 16, 17, 18, of course, they got to get higher.
It goes up. Yeah.
Sure.
Let's say currently I'm working in under 19. The physical requirements are pretty high. Why? Because next year they're gonna be first team players, hopefully, some of them. Okay, and the standard is pretty high. So it's like between 14 and a half to 15 and a half, even higher. It depends again on position.
So do you find that the younger it's a scale between, obviously the younger you are, the focus is less physical, or maybe less less physical. As the players get older and get closer to men's football and first team football and older age groups, the physical demand has to be there. And I say that because most of our listeners are in Canada, and like Mario was saying, I don't think that they realize how physically demanding first flight football is. And it's just refreshing to hear you say, that there's a huge emphasis on that aerobic capacity. But I wanted to shift the focus on the mentality of the Dinamo player, right? You touched on the technical side of things, how important, and that's the primary thing that is looked at. The physical component, the main thing is that aerobic capacity, and I'm curious to know what do you guys look for with regards to the player's mentality? What's the mental culture like at your club?
Again, it depends on Dynamo style of playing. So I mean first team style of play. So like I said, our culture and how Dynamo wants to look, or how Dynamo wants to play in a first Croatian division, of course that we are looking those kind of players who are aggressive, who can play high press and so on. So again, it depends on a first team style of playing. Dynamo is trying to, in the first division, is trying to play high press. Dynamo's central defender are trying to be pretty high. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we already know that our center defender needs to be fast on a running back. Why? Because if we lose the ball in a corner somewhere on the pitch, our center the defender needs to sprint because it's going counter attack. Mm-hmm. And Dynamo is always playing risky. So yes, we are trying to also develop from a younger age that kind of mentality for our players. They need to be aggressive. They need to be strong with the ball.
And how do you do that? How do you impact that mentality? How do you help them be more, aggressive, courageous, that is style of high intensity? How do you do it?
Again, with the style of playing, with the style of let's say training the months. Okay, younger age, we are working more on the volume and so on, but from under 15, 16, 17 and so on, we are working more on intensity. Of course, during training session, you are working on that mentality, because if you are pushing all the time high press, and you are working on those kind of drills, so you're gonna develop that. Mm-hmm. Also, we have in our academy, which is another big tool for another great thing for us. We have a sports psychologist, and which is also aware of Dynamo demands, Dynamo style of playing. So we are preparing them through the practice, but also through the video analysis, our sports psychologists, and so on.
And so, what is the prototype that you guys look for when a player, in terms of off the field, like what is the average player? What's the most common,
Luka Modric.
Yeah.
We need 11 of those.
But I ask that because, I mean, I find that, again, obviously high level football is extremely disciplined, is extremely demanding. And so are these young men, or I guess that's where I'm going, do these kids carry themselves as young men? What are they like off the field? I just want kids here to know and compare. How should you act in your day-to-day to aspire to play at these professional level academies? What are these coaches looking for as a person?
First, as a Dynamo youth athlete, you have to be. It's a all-day job. It's not a job, okay, but it's a all-day something. First, you have school, or you don't have school. You have afternoon school, whatever. But it depends. Like I said, it's you have to be ready to sacrifice a lot of things. A lot of athletes, youth athletes, are here without parents, living on their own. Okay, with someone who is in charge to watching them and so on. But it's tough, because every day is something. Every day they have to be in a club, ready to perform, ready to work. Maybe individually on a technical, tactical something, or physical demands, video analysis. Again, it's a full-time job. They have to be all day in academy.
So one thing I noticed when I was there, because I saw a few age groups train, there was your age group, the players, they all seemed excited to train. They were very competitive in training. They all wanted to be there, it seemed. And then even when on the pitch before, there's like, maybe it was under 12s, under 13s, just watching them play, they were all so hungry. And here, we talk a lot about at the young age, more about development, and we're trying to focus the mindset on development. And I think Dinamo, obviously they do that well, but seems to be like just a natural competitiveness with those players, where here maybe we're lacking that. I don't know, is that something you guys push in the academy, like to be competitive, or do you find that players that are good enough to be there are just naturally more competitive?
Okay, first you have to know Croatian culture. as you know, you are Croatian, half Croatian. But you have to know Croatian culture. From that standpoint, we are starting to developing mindset who gives you you are never secured. You are never you always have to work or you will not be here, because like I said, everyone, at least on a national level, everyone wants to come to Dinamo Zagreb, and it's a big selection, it's a big pool for us, and I think players are aware of that, and when you combine name club as a Dinamo Zagreb with Croatian mindset, Croatian Croatian culture, it's a logical thing, they call us warriors.
Yeah. So do you find in terms of, because at the end of the day, it's the same thing here. The players need to understand that it's not just what they do on the field, right? Like if you don't have that personality of being competitive, as much as you can impact it, you guys are, I'm assuming, right, in the selection process, you can detect and you can find who's gonna be that type of person and who isn't. And so I think it's important for players, the young players, to understand that as much as they want to be, technically sharp and physically strong, if they don't have that mentality and that attitude of like you said, being hungry and nothing is safe, you have to always work and I think it's the most important thing is it's always in the mind. You know,
I think it's the first thing. I think it's the first thing.
Yeah,
So you can have like, obviously we had players in the past, and we're gonna have players in the future who had that high technical skill, you know, and maybe high aerobic capacity. They are fast enough. I don't know, whatever, but they don't have that mindset. And trust me, they cannot succeed. Not just in a Dynamo, they cannot succeed anywhere. So,
and I think even because Dinamo has produced obviously a lot of players that made it, but there's also, you know, those in the Croatian community would know of players who should have went farther than they actually did, and then they fell off, you know, before the age of 23 even, which is sad to see. It seems they didn't have that mindset, you can say.
definitely, yeah.
Another question we have about 6 minutes left. Obviously, so you spent with the under 19s, you guys had the Youth Champions League, so you got to see what it's like in Milan and Chelsea and Salzburg. I was wondering if you had any interesting findings or insights that you saw there that maybe impressed you, or, you know, some key takeaways.
Okay, those academies, what you had mentioned, they are top academies in the world, not just in Europe, in the world. We have some fact that Chelsea Academy is in last 5 years statistically a top academy in a Premiership in the last 5 years. Salzburg is an top academy in the world. They have won one time UEFA Youth Champions League. Last year they played in a final of UEFA Youth Champions League. Chelsea have won that 2 times. Milan is just Milan, you know, it's Milan. so it's a big name. What we found there, I don't know. Okay, they have a higher budget than we have, obviously. Okay, a lot higher than we have. I think in a elite level, in that kind of level, that's gonna play a key thing. You know why? Because someone's gonna offer our kid bigger contract, and he will go there. Yeah. So, but also what we found there, it's different mindset between those academies, different culture. Salzburg is more aggressive. They like to play intensity, and that's how they played for. And that's how they play for a younger from younger age to the first team. Okay, doesn't matter. Are they gonna play in a Champions League? Are they gonna play in Austrian first division? They just wanna intensity, which is like really surprising me. Chelsea, again, it's a different thing. It's another thing. England have a different culture than Austria, but also they have a bigger pool than, for example, Salzburg, and it's different. Milan, for example, we play against them 2 times. They finished first in our group. They started to develop that group from 12 years old. Yeah. When they were 12 years old. So 80% of that squad was together from age 12. Okay, they brought some other players from other countries, but again, it's a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we got about 2 minutes left. Want any last questions before, and then we'll have to organize a part 2 with Luka for sure.
And I think it's it's like I said, every time we've had an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody from a different culture and just a different part of the world, it's refreshing that despite there being differences, there's a lot of commonality in the key things. And I think it's just important to recap that, just like Luka mentioned, the focus, if you're a young player, needs to be on technique. It needs to be on aerobic capacity. It needs to be on being able to be physically fit, of course. And I think it's important that players don't forget how crucial your mentality is and your competitiveness and your drive to want more. I think that is probably not focused on enough. So for me, thank you, Luka, for having the conversation with us. And again, part two is on the schedule.
Thank you for inviting me. It was an honor, and yeah, second part. Let's do it.
Cool. I think we covered a lot. I think that was a very good conversation. Thank you, Luka. And, good luck with the rest of the season.
Sure.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
All right. See you guys.
I can cut it. Yeah, all good. Okay, guys.
See you.
Thanks, Luka.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah, but that was really good. So there's literally 1 minute on the Zoom timer left, so it'll cut. But yeah, I think that was very good.
Yeah, we could talk more. I forgot that it's also what we're trying to groove in Dynamo. It's also a relationship between physical, let's say S&C coach and the head coach.
Yeah. This I wanted to try and get into as well.
But so okay, we can definitely get a second part.
It's also another thing which is again key thing. You cannot if it's not. But again, the key word is a system. If you don't have system, then
you don't have anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And why I sorry why I said system, because in Croatia, I can say that now, in Croatia you don't have system. And Dinamo has system, so that's the
here
difference.
too. Here's no system either.
So,
Good.
yeah.
Okay, guys, nice talking to you.